And pretty unexpected announcement, Lego smart bricks are taking over CES. Intelligence in a Lego brick, it actually could lead to so many new avenues for this company. We're going to look at David Kay's opinion about why AI needs game designers now, and what games like StarCraft are teaching us about the future of work. Mona Lazar has some thoughts about how a scientific error became a massive modern male crisis. We're going to deconstruct a damaging masculinity costume. She wants men to just be honest about what they're modeling out there. Confinement, pressure, social dysfunction, that's the alpha vibe. Rachel Greenberg wants us to know what really smart people predict will happen with AI and the urgent advice they're failing to tell. Super interesting AI paper called Cyborg Synchrony. We're on the cusp of a new way to refresh the brain's immune cells, the glia cells that are in our brain, and that could totally treat a host of diseases and keep our brains super young. Hoping that thing becomes accessible to everyone soon. Another important paper came out using AI to monitor people while they sleep and make predictions about what kind of diseases they're going to suffer from, either currently or in the future. It definitely didn't expect to be as robust and accurate as it seems like it is. This was me hugging a toy designed for children that has artificial intelligent LLMs inside of it. And after playing with it and feeling surprisingly connected, I can totally see why California lawmakers are proposing a 4-year ban on all AI chatbots designed for kids. But first, could I ask you to hit that hype button? It's a button that you only see on the YouTube mobile app if you swipe left on the comments and the video's posted within 7 days and you haven't used one of your 3 or all of your 3 hype, per week on videos already. But I would love these videos to just get out to more people. I mean, I don't know if I'm growing much as a channel anymore. Like, I've got a great core audience and I love you guys, but it's still always stuck at like 5,000 views every video. And I feel like if we can just push this hype to like 300K or something, and I know that's a lot, that would take almost probably 300 hypes or whatever, but maybe then I could like stand out and kind of grow. But I don't know. Obviously, just thank you for watching the video. You want to understand what a Lego Smart Brick is, right? It's a Lego brick. It measures 2x4. The brick itself contains sensors, lights, a small sound synthesizer, an accelerometer, and a custom-made silicon chip enabling it to detect movement and react to it. Now, the coolest thing about it is that it understands the accelerometer. Like, it understands its orientation and distance from other pieces. So smart figurines, which could be, a Captain Picard little minifigure, a Lego minifigure, could when you put it on a ship, it might just know that it's the captain, and start playing along with it. Or interact with other Lego bricks, like, Lego Batman could show up or something, and then they could have an interaction, and you could totally imagine how in the future that could be connected to some kind of LLM, or maybe you connect them all to your Wi-Fi and they somehow share information among each other. Swarm intelligence. I never thought Lego would go this direction because their margins are so great from, just pieces of plastic and then selling them for like $100. But if they get into the hardware space, there is so many interesting things that they could do. So maybe Minecraft moves into the real world through Lego. It's going to be nuts. And I also don't know about if it's a Lego boat or something and I'm holding it in my hand, if the bottom of the boat has intentions like I want to be in water because I'm the bottom of a boat, and the top's like we need to set sail because that's what I do. I'm a Lego piece that sets sail because I'm part of the mast or whatever. It's just gonna be, everything's gonna feel so alive, like you pass butter. But that's a good lead into the next article. David Kays writes, AI needs game designers. So we're already starting to kind of play on that idea and why you think that creativity and that game designerness would be very helpful in the future. So as AI tools become more powerful and commonplace, people will increasingly need to manage multiple autonomous AI agents at once, much like running many units in a real-time strategy game. Today's AI orchestration tools have clumsy interfaces, a lot of times they're terminal-based, and it makes it hard for most users. By contrast, especially game designers, experienced with real-time strategy and complex simulation games to build with them. Those kind of game designers have spent decades refining interfaces that let humans keep track and steer many moving parts intuitively. This is definitely something that we need for the future of AI agents. This makes total sense to me. Tools like control groups, mini-maps, task queues, and alert systems in games, those teach the exact skills that are needed to make AI orchestration useful. So the takeaway, instead of asking, do games need AI, we should recognize that AI needs what game designers already have and know about human agent coordination through UX. I mean, yeah, I think about this all the time. The future is going to be like a conductor, just like you agents go build, a new wing of my house, and you agents go out there and manufacture this thing I'm going to sell on the internet, and you agents over here, you stay all digital, but you fix, you look at my medical needs and stuff like that, and you're hundreds of them in every direction. You're pushing and pulling them and directing them. Yeah, that's probably what the future feels like in not the long term, maybe after a certain point that even fades into the background, but that's kind of like up until now to like 2030s, 2035, something like that. I feel like the people who have that kind of a setup will be the winners. All right, let's look at Mona Lazar's article, How a Scientific Error Became a Massive Modern Male Crisis, Deconstructing a Damaging Masculinity Costume. So this article is arguing that the whole idea of, a quote, alpha male that we see everywhere online, from like macho influencers to self-help gurus, is based on a scientific misunderstanding. So let's rewind time a little bit. Originally, there was research that was done on wolves, early wolf research, especially captive wolves that the research was done on, led to the belief that a pack had an alpha dominating male. But more modern biology shows that when you study a wolf pack that's living in the wild, they work more like family units. They're not really battlegrounds for dominance as much as you'd think. And it's not really that rigid of an alpha hierarchy, yet this flawed idea has been borrowed to justify all sorts of hyper-competitive notions of masculinity that pressures men into acting tough and dominant, even though it really doesn't reflect animal behavior or human social structures or even the individual's best interest in a lot of cases. But as somebody who loves armchair anthropology, it's just a reminder to me that we should always be questioning the stories that we tell about human nature, because I have shifted my mindset so many times on stuff that kind of made sense, and then I just was like, no, too simple. Okay, next up, let's look at Rachel Greenberg's article, TLDR. This is what really smart people predict will happen with AI and the urgent advice they're failing to tell you. All right, so the article is pointing out that people who actually work in AI tend to be somewhere in the middle on the spectrum of AI will save the world and AI will destroy humanity. Their P-dooms are, not so extreme all the time. So this third less talked about prediction means that over the next 10 or 15 years, AI will disrupt industries, it will replace millions of jobs, it will trigger economic and political turbulence, but we've lost millions of jobs before, we've been through political turbulence before, and we've been through times where people and systems struggle to compete with technology. Now, it does seem fair to say that this cycle will happen faster than ever before, so rapid change might be something that we're not expecting, and that might be the hardest part of all of this, but eventually society will reach some kind of a breaking point where humans stop trying to outpace AI and begin recognizing that collaboration with it is sort of the only option on the table. So this piece urges entrepreneurs to be realistic, to learn to leverage AI deeply, to focus on integrating it into value creation, invest in AI fluency today, invest in regulation preparedness, build businesses that thrive in a world where AI is baseline rather than buzzworthy, and then watch channels like mine or people who do what I do better than I do to just keep up with it, because it changes every single day. All right, hit that subscribe button. Next up, a very interesting article, Cyborg Synchrony, integrating human physiology into effective generative music AI. So that actually means thinking about your heart rate, your EEG, signs that are coming from your body that will affect the music that you're listening to. So it's smart music. So what this is a proposed novel framework that blends real-time physiological data, so heart rate, EEG, with generative music AI to create an adaptive soundscape that reflects and encourages interpersonal physiological synchrony. Yeah. Imagine how rhythmic this is going to be when this is commonplace. Like a state where people's bodies align during a shared experience is what they're hoping to achieve. Because they're building on music's deep ties to social bonding, the authors lay out this two-stage AI training system, a foundational model that's trained on biometric data, and then an individual tuning layer that adapts to each user's unique physiology. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been at the rave, you know what it's like. And it's starting to feel like you're becoming part of a whole. It's a pretty a cool feeling. Like you're really one with something bigger than yourself. And I guess with AI and generative music, that's going to be a really much more common, easy to achieve thing in the future. All right, researchers are exploring a groundbreaking approach to microglial replacement therapy. That's right. So you got these immune system type cells that are in the brain. They keep the brain fresh, and there's a new way to kind of fix them up, clean them up, and replace them. Microglia are critical immune guardians in the brain. They clear pathogens and toxic proteins, and they help shape neural connections. So when you say that, like they shape neural connections, it makes you more adaptable. It makes you smarter. It makes you learn faster, kind of, by default, down the chain. And they do basically become dysfunctional with age, disease, or genetic defects. You know, people when they're sleeping at night, when they're older, usually they just don't clean up the brain as well. And that's part of this kind of ongoing problem. So scientists are now experimenting with ways to replace damaged microglia with healthy ones, including through bone marrow-derived cells that migrate into the brain, and there's already early clinical trials showing promise for conditions ranging from rare genetic brain disorders to more common neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. And while the biology is complex, and there are obviously significant challenges before this ever becomes something like you and I can just purchase and use, it does seem like the foundation of the science is there, and this could be something that really does make it to market one day. And I love the idea of not just treating symptoms. You know, like we're always like, oh, wow, now something broke. Like, what's the medicine you're going to take? We should be, you know, it's like before it becomes a forest fire, like put it out when it's just a spark. Like clean your house before it's so messy that nobody wants to come over. So I got high hopes for that breakthrough. And to go along with the idea that we should be cleaning our house before it gets too messy, we should also know that if our house is messy, people won't come over. So that's where AI and prediction come in. So there's a new AI model that is called Sleep FM. It is a multimodal sleep foundational model. And it's interesting because it was trained on 585,000 hours of overnight recordings. Don't exactly know what this means, but the kind of recordings they're doing is something called polysomnography. But it came from about 65,000 people. It's a really unique data source to train an AI model on. And now Sleep FM can integrate brain, heart, muscle, and respiration signals all into a single prediction. The authors show that from one night's sleep data, Sleep FM can predict risk for 130 different conditions, including dementia, heart attacks, stroke, kidney disease, and all-cause mortality. Pretty neat stuff. Spot early disease risk, prevent illness, you know, long before a traditional diagnosis is made. So I'm all for it. All right, so I went to a CES event a couple days ago, and they had this little dinosaur. It had a large language model in it. You could talk to it. It was pretty neat. I should have got a photo from the front of it, but it was weighted, so almost like a weighted blanket. Like when you hugged it, it would just kind of grab onto you. It was pretty sweet. But obviously, I know a little bit about how weird LLMs can be when you talk with them and how many things emerge from them that are unpredicted by the companies. And when I think about children interacting with them, it does seem a little weird. Human parents have incredibly good intentions on average for their children. It's their offspring. They love them. They're always trying to say things that make the child better. And regular people, neighbors, friends, they generally fall into that same category. LLMs, when they're prompted to like be nice and be good, they're kind of not always. They kind of are, but it was sort of like the, Claude agent that we saw taking care of the tomato plant. I'm unsure how comforted that tomato plant should be. It certainly has eyes on it. It certainly has something kind of looking at it all the time. But at this stage, it seems to me like it might go off the rails, or somebody might prompt, especially when it's interaction. I mean, the tomato plant doesn't talk back, but if it was constantly sort of saying weird things or imagining things, and there was a weird mix in responses that are, like very wrong for an adult parent to say, but the LLM just doesn't know better, I don't love it. So I do think there's a role in AI in raising people in education for sure, but at this stage it seems a little early for kids. So I'm not necessarily opposed to this new California state bill So basically in California, they're thinking about a 4-year break, right? A moratorium on the sales and manufacturing of children's toys that include AI chatbot technology. The goal is to give regulators more time to build robust safety standards before these AI-powered interactive toys start kind of being integrated into toys that are meant for kids under 18, where they might not have the discernment yet that an 18-year-old has. So yeah, I don't know what you think. Some people are like, don't slow down AI at any cost, and they want that interactive data from children so that they can, you know, actually solve problems and get better and learn from mistakes. I understand you wouldn't be getting those, so that's the other point of view, but I feel like you can get that enough in simulation or in a laboratory setting before you just put it out into society in this case. Let me know your thoughts if you feel like I should be swayed one way or the other. I'm open to certain arguments. Okay, next I'll catch you up on the Ashley St. Clair lawsuit. So she is the mother of one of Elon Musk's children. She said that she was horrified and has been going through a lot after specifically people who didn't like her because she's kind of anti-Elon Musk and Musk supporters started using the AI tool Grok to create fake sexualized images of her. You know, there's a couple levels to this. One, that the tool exists and can be used by so many people so easily. And the second is that we just sort of have this culture of hate instead of listening, right? Like we just tell people or punish them for their thoughts instead of just asking, like, why do you feel this way? And can we find a middle ground? So she says that real photos were manipulated, including one taken when she was a child, turning them into what she describes as a form of revenge porn. St. Clair, who became estranged from Musk after their child was born in 2024, says the experience left her feeling violated and highlights how easily AI tools linked to platforms can be misused by online mobs. She claims that Grok has now been banned from replying to her regarding certain issues, which would imply a unique retaliatory restriction has been placed on her account. So I don't know. I mean, these algorithms are always changing, but what they're learning from, especially in the sense of a community, might be in some ways a form of censorship. How deliberate was it? Hard to tell. Is there other reasons? Hard to tell. But this whole problem with like shadow banning and like algorithms. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the last podcast they did with Wes, but it's like, I really think if anybody cares about free speech in social networks, we should be able to have our own algorithm. There should be a free market, like the word free market matters, like free market place where you can design an algorithm, you can go sell it, and if it's a good algorithm and I want it, I can buy it. Like something where I can filter out certain garbage, or I can try to be healthier, or I want less addictive qualities, because when there's only one algorithm and one social network, it just feels so monopolistic. And it really isn't a free market because there's no business where somebody else can just make another Twitter. It just has a network effect that doesn't transfer over. It's like saying anybody can just build a city anywhere in the world, but you really can't, you know, like you could buy the land and like put some buildings up, but you would need critical mass of people to go there before that city was truly, you know, something that could compete with a big city in like New York or something. And now let's talk about this Vox article, how millennials fell out of love with the internet. Is the internet really worse than it used to be, or are some of us just getting older? Honestly, I could just be getting older. I don't know if it's worse than it used to be. It's just more hyper. It just requires so much more to keep up with it. It's more tiring than it used to be, would be my opinion. There's still plenty of good places on the internet and, of course, plenty of bad ones. But it's really interesting to think back in time about how this all evolved. Like, sometimes get caught up so much in the moment. I don't really think about how millennials fell in love with the internet when they were younger. Like, it was just such a interesting thing and a way to connect, and there were so many opportunities. I mean, kind of like AI now. Like, I feel like I'm falling in love with AI, and there might be a time in the future I'm like, oh, it's just everywhere. I like want to get away. But this piece explores why many millennials feel that the internet isn't as good as it used to be. So it traces a shift from the early web's decentralized mix of communities and independent sites to today's algorithm-driven mega platforms like Facebook and TikTok that prioritize engagement over discovery and depth. Writer Max Reed explains that Facebook's 2026 newsfeed and TikTok's For You page transformed how people use web, creating an experience that is addictive and fueled by emotionally charged content. You know, what people now call rage bait, which is like par for the course, it seems like. I mean, I really, you know, like, look, I can't really name these videos. They're just like straight boring facts. Like, nobody clicks on them. They have to have that like gasping face and stuff. It's so so silly, but I mean, we have A/B testing. Like, I'm doing it for a reason, and I'm trying to grow the channel, and I try to have content of substance, but rage bait just gets the clicks, right? And while this model has massively grown the internet, it has also narrowed the web's diversity. It's driven many older users to retreat into private chats rather than open communities. To its credit, it's starting to make real life parties like way more common. Like, I feel like everything on meetup.com is blowing up right now. I don't know if it's just my city or not, but this evolution, it like wasn't always inevitable. Wikipedia remains as an example of an online space that's trying to retain quality. It prioritizes community values, but it didn't grow gangbusters. It didn't mint billionaires the same way. And if you were an investor, you would have been better off in Facebook than Wikipedia by far. So the whole idea that millennials have this diminished role online reflects both their aging and the internet's generational and global expansion. Yeah, one of the more interesting ideas from the article too is a metric called time spent. If you actually look at time spent on internet versus the millennial, it's definitely warped what the platform's value is. Those are the people that think of the algorithm as engagement, not meaningful connection. But I appreciate you staying this long. At least you're consuming longer form content if you made it to the end here. And the hype button on YouTube is the newest game that we're all playing. So if you don't mind hitting that hype button, I would love one of your 3 hypes for the week. Actually, I think you could even do more, but even one would be amazing. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.